were raised by Caribbean parents, these three things probably happened to you and caused you to compromise your voice, either not trusting yourself to speak up or struggling with critical thinking. I'm Krystal Tomlinson, a public speaking coach and the world's public speaking champion. And if you don't want to pass this inheritance on to your children, reflect and let's take some better decisions. One, having rules imposed on you, and when you ask why that rule, you're told, because I said so. That told us that as children, we were not allowed to question figures who are in authority. And it could be the reason why you're afraid to tell your boss that the workload is too heavy or the timeline just does not work. Second is being shut down when you have something to say, either a question or a difference of opinion, being told that you're too talkative, you're being rude, or you're too nuff. Again, that tells you to stay quiet. Children being seen and not heard become adults who are also seen as wallflowers in the meeting room and are not heard. And then finally, being harshly punished for mistakes. Doesn't matter if it's a big mistake, like driving your parents' car without permission and getting in a crash, or a small mistake, like not picking up the clothes off the line before it started to rain. The scale.
Are not tying out the chicken.
Yes. Can we talk about this? I grew up at a time when even if I whistled, I was scolded. Whistling was serious.
Oh, wow.
Listen, thanks for staying with us. Were you raised to be seen and not heard? As an international public speaking coach, Krystal Tomlinson works intimately with clients to uncover the root cause of their fear of the stage. More often than not, a traumatic childhood experience at school or at home is a cause of lifelong speaking anxiety.
Absolutely, I agree. And so many of us struggle to speak up in the boardroom because we didn't get permission to speak up in our living room.
Yeah.
And it takes hard work to reset that early programming of your voice being ridiculed, dismissed, or even muted. Well, here to unmute us is Krystal.
Yes.
Welcome to Sunrise Girl.
Thank you
How
very
you doing?
much. A pleasure to be here.
Krystal,
Looking like
Thank you.
sunshine.
Lovely. Krystal, why the parents tell you to go on to... Krystal, you ever you take out the meat, your mother call you, take out the meat or salt the peas. And I
Yes.
don't know what it is about our childhood brain. Take out the meat. And when your mother say, you take out the meat here,
And she's
like a deer in headlights. Remember, you're going to get it, you know. Go to your room.
That's such a great example.
Yeah.
But the challenge for many of us growing up is it's layered, right? So it could be many things. One is that our parents were under a lot of stress.
Yes.
A whole lot of stress. And if you think about mommy or daddy, if you're in a single parent household, if the finances are scarce or limited, even in a two-parent home, they are stressed by the time they get home from the traffic, from dealing with a difficult boss, not figuring out how the ends are going to meet, and then you come now, you couldn't even defrost the chicken. You know, you come now, you have a slip from school that they must come because you're late too many times. They don't have the bandwidth. And even today, parents have those same issues with no limited circle or community. So you can't even send the child to the grandma for a weekend. Every single solitary day is
They're
just
with
you,
you.
the child, the problems, the issues, the stress, the pressure. And at some point, the parent just needs it to be quiet.
The lid is going to blow.
And you can't tell the boss to shut up, and you're the smallest one with very little power. You can't push back, so you get the shut up. And another issue too for parents is fear. If they have gone through difficulties, painful experiences for speaking up, either being beaten, being punished, being ridiculed, go ahead, shut your mouth, move on her back, you're too fool, stop analyzing nonsense. What you say? They don't want you to experience that. So they think they're protecting you when they tell you, when you see big people not talk, when you have question, no ask nobody, nothing, figure it out. If them say move, they say go. Because they hope that you won't experience the embarrassment or the disrespect or any kind of sidelining. So it's protective instinct, but it's not really helping you for the real world. And
also some parents, Krystal, would have gone through that, so they don't know any other way.
that's the last thing. You don't have the emotional tools. So they don't know what to do when somebody disagrees with them. So you as a child, you come and say, but mommy, I don't think that this is the right school book. The book I think I saw under shut your mouth, you are the mother and me are the mother. But in that moment, they should have said, well, let me check. Or no, I double checked and it was an error on the paper. So they have no skills dealing with dissent, with somebody disagreeing with them. Maybe if they saw conflict in the home, it ended in violence. So they don't know that there's a way for us to not agree and still be respectful
and loving.
And loving.
Yes, because I believe in being firm. You know, I believe in a mixture of gentle parenting and me have a firm with you.
Yes.
Because gentle parenting, as far as I'm concerned, works with gentle children. And you have some children who are not so gentle. And one thing I'm going to do, you're going to hear me. Yeah, you're not going to run my thing, right?
Yes.
So I know that that is a challenge. But like, as we're talking about being unmuted, because we want a paradigm shift.
Yes,
Because we have also realized that that kind of abusive way of dealing with children has created adults who are not functioning properly. So from your point of view, where you stand or sit, how can parents realign, readjust, and re-socialize to deal with their children better?
Great question. So for parents who have gone through that experience and you find that you're reliving what your own parents did to you, one of the things you can do is create like a little Sunday school with your child. You get the newspaper on a Sunday. We have a whole heap of topics for discussion, people debating all kinds of issues. Invite your child to read one of the stories and come to you and tell you what you think. And as they articulate, well, mommy, I think that, well, mommy, I don't know what the word I mean. Well, you can encourage them. No, read it again. Tell me again. Well, what if I say to you that this is actually the reason? What would you say? And you get them to practice having a reasoned opinion, talking up to their adult, because you're their role model, you know. So if you can sit in front of them and say, well, I think that's a good opinion. Why don't you tell me what you think about so-and-so?
And you're building their confidence when you're doing that.
Yes. So that's a simple practice that helps them to, one, expose themselves to information, build up their vocabulary, and articulate on the big issues. For parents who themselves know are struggling in the workplace with that challenge, two things that we find helpful. One is volunteering. You're in the meeting room, you're at an event, and say, who's going to do the vote of thanks? Who's going to do the introduction? Are you afraid?
But Krystal, I'm going to say too enough. So why not everything should come like such enough?
That is right. And you raise your hand and you say, listen, I don't have any experience here, but I'm trying to build this skill. I'm trying to learn. Because if you want to succeed, you need to have the capacity to learn. And at 40, 50, 30, 20, you're still not too old to learn. So what do you want to learn this year? You want to learn to speak up. Bossy, may I move the vote of thanks? Sir, may I offer the introduction? I have a question here. Could I make this presentation? And give yourself a shot. And the last thing I would say for children and for parents, and we did this at a recent public speaking boot camp with teens, go on Instagram, Gleaner, Observer, Star, Huffington Post, CNN, find a story. CVM. Go inside your comment thread on a story and look at how people are responding to comments and pretend that they said that to you. What would you say? You'll realize two things. One, a lot of ad hominem attacks. People do not have a reasoned opinion and you're afraid to speak up to people who could not formulate an opinion, right? And two, where are the hasty generalizations? So the logical thinking, no, do I agree, do I disagree? If this person said to me, go from your head too big, and again, they can't agree with a dissenting opinion. They don't know how to disagree respectfully. So they're in the comment being abusive. They're in the comment thread being illogical. Read the comment and you don't have to type a response. But what would I say if that person said it to me? Oh, I would say, and get your practice.
So where can we get your boot camp?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask.
At this point.
I want to make this quick remark though, because I mean, I learned that one of the number one fears, perhaps number two, is public speaking for humans all over the world, in any culture. Given that you're planning this boot camp, how do you integrate the idea of this truth into how you...
So it's a whole lot of practice, and I tell people all the time, you'll understand the skills when I say it to you and the concept, but you have to know, go out and practice. You have to call that friend who's crossing a boundary and say, listen, we have to talk because I'm not comfortable here, and we're going to use the assertive communication because you don't have to be aggressive every time you disagree. It's about getting up in that meeting room and saying, oh, I have another perspective was not considered. It's the practice. So if there's anybody who wants help with the practice, they can text unmute to 876-277-9421, and I'll respond. We'll give you a call. We'll text back. Whether you have a teenager who is struggling to logically organize their thoughts, or you're the adult who just feels so constrained and scared. You want a promotion, but nobody don't know your work, and you don't know how to speak up for yourself, and somebody taking credit for the work and passing you up for the promotion. It's time for you to start asserting yourself and communicating confidently.
So we just call you, go on, and I know you're on social media as well.
Yes, at Krystal Tomlinson. All the resources are there.
All right, I love that. Speak up.
Thank you.
My baby is little. I tell her, advocate for yourself, so that mommy can know what's wrong. And because if you're crying or you're fussy, it must be something that's wrong. And I want parents to be able to not fit with You know, them always say humble calf suck the most milk, but also humble calf can dead for hungry if everybody else is going to drink and you're not. And so being able to speak up, this is also a way that you can find out what is wrong with your child or your children. A lot of children are suffering in silence because they have been silenced. So parents, take this as an opportunity to speak up.
I was the last child and I said, that one not chat nothing, man, but I was allowed to talk. Look at me now.
Look at you now.
As Krystal is saying about the Sunday paper, my mom, we had to read the Sunday paper for real, and we had to then tell her what we read.
Articulate.
Good practice. Good practice.
Thank you, Mommy.
Thank you very much, Krystal.
Yes, thank you so much, Krystal Tomlinson. Lovely.
That was Krystal Tomlinson, international public speaking coach. Now, have you ever heard about a World Savings Day? We'll find out after the break. In Money Masterclass with Carlton, the money guru.
That's right. Soon come back.